by peaceful, democratic transition following free and fair elections in Kenya on the 9th of August, 2022. The strong collective conviction of my country that the relevance, legitimacy, and moral authority of the United Nations will forever remain deficient.
Welcome to The Barn, where I'm going to keep you informed in a very, very entertaining way. If that's the kind of content you're into, hit that subscribe button, hit that push bell notification button. But as of yesterday, President Ruto made his first international speech at the General Assembly of the United Nations, and some very, very important points were discussed in that meeting that will affect our economy as a whole. If you haven't heard about this new speech, you should keep watching, as it's your president declaring to the world what it expects to make this house better for you, your home country, Kenya. To start off with, coming off from his inauguration speech, he talked about how he wants to build a bottom-up economy in opposed to a trickle-down economy, which is actually what Joe Biden and the Americans are proposing for. This is beautiful because it gives an opportunity to people with less income to start hustling and build the economy from a base where there's high levels of poverty. In return, these people can contribute back to the economy and build to the top, creating an all-above economic sphere that we're proud of. Now, let us remember that Ruto is a true-bred hustler. From a village boy to the president, he knows the values of hard work and determination, and hence that's why again I feel he's one of the best fits for our president. I don't want to mention their names, but one of the opposition members was from a well-off family that was well into politics at first, and I believe being a person who had to come from rags to now wearing his yellow tie and suit, he knows the pain of those people who have literally no income, and is going to be able to put measures into place much better to help the SMEs so that we grow an economic sector that's lacking, such that we can build up. As they do with every building, you need to build your foundation first, then you can build the top. How can you be building palaces when you don't even have a foundation? This mindset, if he executes on this, I want to see where he takes the economy 5 years later. Now, from what he expects from the international community, the G20 nations, the nations that make huge monetary decisions across the globe, he wants to renegotiate our entire loan system. This way, it will put less fiscal pressure on the treasury as we have less debt to pay as the terms have been relaxed. As a result, for you guys out there, the taxation levels can come much lower, giving you more income, goods to become less expensive, inflation to fall down. Because just think about it. Let's say I owe you 100 shillings in 90 days. Within 90 days, I have to pay you that. But if you're able to extend it by 120 days, let's say, or 180 days, this gives us more money at any given time, as we don't have to be paying that. So it loosens our cash flow, enabling us to do so much more in the economy, from infrastructure development to increasing the education and health sectors, and just all in all reducing the taxation level such that goods and prices are cheaper for everyone. Another thing I'm super happy he talked about is plastic pollution, saying, and I quote, "Kenya is committed to working closely with the other nations to pursue legally binding instruments aimed at bringing an end to plastic pollution." This follows in the footsteps of the late Dr. Wangari Maathai, who was so educated on the environmental effects of pollution. Now think about it, as Kenyans, we've just had random cold weather during the months of July and August when it's meant to be nice and sunny. Nowadays, heat is scorching. Climate change is a big issue, and just leave the weather alone. This climate, being an agriculture country, is going to kill a lot of crops in drought, making the price of flour going even higher than the 200 and something shillings that it is now. Furthermore, we rely heavily on the tourism industry based on wildlife. If these animals' habitats are destroyed, the national parks are no longer as beautiful as you want them to be, tourists are less likely to come here, reducing our foreign reserves, making the dollar more expensive. Hence, his address to environmental issues makes me so happy. Something previous regimes have not put such an emphasis on. I would say a huge majority of his speech was based on ending plastic pollution, and plastic causes so much harm, from the animals to the sea life to everything, just making the country a lot dirtier. And by combating this, he's getting back on his plea to renewability and recycling, which makes me happier, as this is our generation. If you're a 20 to 30-year-old, our kids, if you think we're suffering with extreme colds and hots right now, what could the implications be 10 to 20 years later? It's a serious issue of concern, and him addressing it makes me super, super happy. Moving on from Kenya's commitment to ending plastic pollution is his address to the global community as to how Africa was treated abhorrently during the time of the issuing of the corona vaccines. I'm so happy he was brave enough to stand up and talk about how a continent is looked upon as garbage. We're looked upon as paupers, and we're always at the end of the receiving when it comes to anything from the international community. India got their fair share of vaccines. America, yes, they're manufacturing it. Great Britain, then they share it with their countries that they do the most trade with, and then we get the remaining back end of the batches of the vaccine, which slowed down our recovery and from the issues of the coronavirus pandemic. And as a result, him being able to be so confident to call out the international community and say, what you did with us was not fair. This was our share of vaccines. Our people deserve to be treated as well. And hence I can see a regime where, when further global issues are coming, just as the Ebola issue that I mentioned yesterday, tag above, can't forget my CTAs, at least we know he will put pressure on the Western countries to try receive things a bit faster. Will it work? I don't know. Furthermore, another sector that this is the reason I personally chose to vote for Kenya Kwanza, is because President Ruto has addressed the issue of IT. Now, the world is moving technology. We know that, okay? Without this computer, no work gets done at Ban. Like, I'm sure most people today in Kenya have a cell phone. Like, people having access to internet is far more than the people who have lack of homes. It's just good to hear that he has that at the back of his mind and wants to increase this for the rest of our nation. Basically, this is just a quick summary of my opinions of what was discussed by Honorable William Ruto at the United Nations General Assembly in America. And I just love some of the things he's talked about. You know, now that he's stepped into power, we can actually see what his manifesto is, because before everything he was saying was like to gain his seat, but now he's in power. So everything he says can have some level of rotation to it. But after all, this is politics. So will he execute on these things? Will he make me proud of my vote? Before I forget, leave a comment down below on your opinions on this topic. What you think of the Kenya Kwanza moving forward? What are they going to deliver to the table? What are your vote of choice? All that good stuff down below. Any other piece of news you want me to analyze and cover? We know you hate reading these newspapers. I do it so you don't have to. So for now,